If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by portrait photography, or just at a loss of what to focus on to take you to that next level, then come hang with me. I help guide portrait photographers just like you to stay clear and sharp in camera and with your goals. I'm your host, photographer, educator, and weirdly positive mama of four, Emily Supio. And this is the Stay Focused podcast. Photography advice to help you stay focused. Well, hey there, it's Emily Supio, and thank you so much for pressing play on today's episode of the Stay Focused podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. If you have been listening over the past 4 years, I'm glad you're here too. I'm actually really glad you're all here today. And if you have been listening for a while, you know that throughout the years, I try to be pretty open with the people that are listening. I am pretty much an open book. And you know that recently I shared my weight loss journey and how I was very unhealthy and lost 35 pounds over the course of a year. If you weren't part of that, you can listen to some of our past episodes because I do talk pretty openly about that. I also, over a year ago, I lost my dad, which was very difficult, devastating, very hard for me. And I talk a lot about my grieving process and I bring him up a lot. And if you've been listening to me a while, in a lot of my episodes, I actually reference him and how he was such an important part of my life and my photography journey. And I think that's really important as a photography educator, as a person, just to know and realize that people are real, right? Like we have real feelings, we go through real struggles, we go through real hardships. It's not this, beautiful Cinderella-like fairy tale that we see on social media all the time. And so when I chatted with Eden Stader on today's episode, she gets really real about some of her struggles too, and how some of her struggles were really taboo in her photography industry. I think you're really going to love and resonate with the show. And at the very least, I want you to know that your struggles in life are not just yours, that there are other people out there that are probably feeling and going through the same things that you are. Now, Eden Stader is just the woman who knows her stuff. She has done so many things through her photography career and has evolved into so much more. So I'm super excited to have her as a guest on the show today, and we'll bring her out in just a couple minutes. The first step in any photography journey is understanding your camera and understanding the fundamentals of how to use that so that you feel confident when you're out taking pictures. And I want to help you with just that. Come register for my free 1-hour online masterclass, the 4-step framework to confidently shooting beautiful portraits. You can register today at cozyclicks.com/framework. You'll also find the direct link to the free masterclass in the show notes or in the description wherever you're listening to this podcast today. Hope to see you there. All right, I have Eden Strader on the show with us today. Hey, Eden, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you doing, Emily?
Good. Thank you for being here today. Now, Eden, you are like the woman that does it all. I was scrolling through your Instagram and I'm like, oh my goodness, she just does everything. So for people who don't know you, can you tell us who is Eden Stader and all of the wonderful things you do?
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's the nicest introduction ever. So I'm Eden, and I am a former destination wedding photographer, now turned business coach. And so I started my career several years ago in Utah, shooting weddings, and then kind of broke into the destination market and did that for several years before I started dipping my toe into education. And really the whole foundation of like everything in my sphere, whether you're like learning about, learning artificial light and photography or learning about systems and scaling, is that I truly believe that our business should be a tool for a beautiful life rather than kind of the end destination. I am a firm believer in kind of canceling this idea of, I quit my 9 to 5 so I could work 24/7. Like it shouldn't be that way. I really do like believe and have seen and live that like your business should support you having a really, really beautiful life. It shouldn't be the entirety of your life. And so that's kind of at like the foundation of everything I do, is helping creative entrepreneurs and photographers build like really beautiful and fulfilling businesses, but ones that they can also step out of and like have weekends back, see their family and friends, you know, all of that good stuff that can sometimes get lost in hustle culture.
Sure. And that is amazing. It seems like you have done so much. And Eden, I don't know if you guys are watching on YouTube or just listening right now, but Eden, you look like you're like 16 years old. You don't
Stop.
look.
That's really nice. I like needed that today. Thank you.
So I'm like listening to all you've done. I'm like, there's no way. She just looks too young.
Oh
So
my gosh. Thank you.
I would like to rewind the clocks a little bit though. And we don't have to go back to when you were 16, but all of this, like your whole journey, it started with some kind of inspiration for wanting to learn photography, right? For wanting to learn the camera. So if you go way back then, what was it that got you interested in photography in the first place?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky I grew up with artistic parents. So my mom's an art teacher. My dad used to be a graphic designer. So like I was very encouraged to get involved with the arts, and photography was the thing that I have been obsessed with since I was a kid. Like I was the 5-year-old, like stealing my parents' little point and shoot and like carrying it to school every day. I am kind of like the stereotype that I've had a camera in my hand since I was like a kid. Like I've just always loved it. And as I, did turn 16 and like started to, look into being a little bit more serious about it. I lived in Utah at the time, and there's a huge wedding market in Utah, like crazy, crazy big. People get married really, really young. So there's a really large wedding market there. And so I kind of just honestly fell into weddings. I was kind of doing the typical journey of like trying everything and shooting my friends a lot and just kind of seeing what I liked. And then kind of fell into weddings and just fell in love with them, like loved them so much. And so that's kind of where like the journey began. But yeah, I dropped out of college, started my business, and yeah, the rest is history.
And now we're here,
Yeah.
right? So I know you said it wasn't just weddings, but you shot destination weddings. So where are some of the like really cool exotic places you've been to?
Yeah, so I've gotten to shoot like everywhere from like Hawaii to Switzerland. Like I got so lucky. I traveled the world when I was doing destination weddings. I shot a lot in Hawaii. That was like a really, really big one. And then I shot a lot here on the East Coast, which is now where I live. I now live in New York City, but I did shoot a lot over here in like Vermont and things like that, as well as like Bermuda a little, or would shoot a little when I would go over to Europe, which was really, really fun. But I had a really heavy portfolio and client base kind of on the West Coast and Hawaii.
That's amazing. That's so fun. And I think that's kind of a dream a lot of photographers have in the beginning, and you just made it happen. Eden, I want to get into something a little deeper with you, only because you gave me permission to ask you some of these things, because I think a lot of times photographers talk about kind of the fundamentals, and we talk about kind of the surface stuff like we are here, which is really good, but we don't get deeper into who the photographer is and the things that happen in their life that affect their photography and their business. And you said you're very open about talking about your marriage and divorce and how it affected your business. So can we talk about that? Are you still good with that?
Yes, I'm very good with it. Yes, it is. It's so funny because it's one of those things that when it happened, I used to be a very private person, and I was like, I'm going to make sure that like as a wedding photographer, people don't find out I'm divorced. Like that is so embarrassing. Like that feels so taboo being in the wedding industry. Like I'm going to make sure no one ever finds out about this. And then one day I just felt very, very called that I like needed to speak up about it. And haven't looked back since, because I've been able to create like so many beautiful connections with so many people, just about like the complications of being a self-employed person and still being a human with a life. I think right now with social media, it's obviously a double-edged sword. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We get to connect. But we also get to display the highlight reel, which we don't have to get into too much because I know everyone talks about this all the time. But one of the things I'm really passionate about is like, because my business is based in the fact that like, I want you to build a beautiful business in order to have a beautiful life. I don't want to present that to you in a way that's like, yeah, let's do it. Everything everything is great. This is easy. Like there's no hardships. We just like build a beautiful business and a beautiful life and we're done. That is not how it went for me. Like I built my business in the dredges of like a very, very toxic marriage. I was the sole provider the entire marriage. I was paying for his school. I was paying for some big spending that he would do. And so I was actually having to earn enough money for two people. And not just like two people day to day, but like a very frivolous, high like amount of expenses and schooling and all of those things. And so my marriage really, really impacted the way that I operated in my business, both in the need to scale it, in kind of like the safety and like joy I found in it when I didn't have a lot of other joy in my life, as well as my divorce. Like I got divorced in, you know, the middle of my career. And so I love talking about it because I don't want people to think that I want to help them build a dream business and a dream life from a place of like, it was really easy for me. Like, I'm like, it wasn't really easy. In fact, it was really, really, really unbelievably hard. And there were times where I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think I would ever experience happiness, like, let alone like what I have now. And so I think that's why it's important to talk about these things is like, I think sometimes we can think people found success so easily when in reality, like everyone has something going on behind closed doors. And so I kind of want to just like pull back that curtain so that people feel a little less alone and like that they can actually do these things no matter what's going on in their personal life at the time.
I love that. And I love that you're so open about it because I know when I work with, you know, a lot of my students, some of them are single moms or they've got lots of kids or they're divorced or, you know, retired or on an income that is, what's the word I'm thinking of there when you, I can't think of that word, but when you're on an income that you own a set income, right? So there's all of these things that happen in our life. And when we look at social media, it seems to be just this like, beautiful, like, oh, look how easy it is and perfect it is. And the fact that you like to share that, I think is so important for so many people that are listening out there because, and they're like, yeah, you know, that's how I feel too. Or I have this hardship or my life isn't this, you know, fairy tale. I'm not Cinderella. I'm not this or not this. And I wasn't even thinking of it in the terms of the wedding industry, but you're right. Like that is, if on top of that, you're a wedding photographer, that's just like two, you know, just two stones thrown at you at the same time.
Yeah.
So I love that you're so open about that and share that. And I hope you guys listening, I hope that you're having the most beautiful, perfect life right now going on. But if you're not, if you have some hardships going on or something happening, I hope this connects with you. And I hope that you continue with your photography journey and continue with your business and continue with whatever it is that drives your soul and your passion. Because just like you see from Eden, she is just unstoppable now. She did not let that stop her. So I like that. Eden, do you have any other tips for newer photographers that are maybe just starting out their business right now that we didn't touch on today that would be helpful?
Yeah, I think like when you're first getting started in the industry, it's really, really easy to get so hyper focused on wanting it to succeed that it's really, really easy to like look at the competition and be like, okay, what is everyone else doing? How are they finding success? And how can I do something similar? And I see that a lot of photographers specifically kind of fall into this by, you know, trying to shoot in ways that other people do, or trying to shoot in similar places or with similar editing styles or, you know, brand statements or words. You just kind of are almost like grasping at like, what's going to get me this success that I'm so passionate to have. And by looking at other people, thinking that almost mimicking them is what is going to find you success, it's actually going to just create more competition for you. And this is where I find that a lot of photographers get really almost like stuck in a cycle or a little bit of a loop where it's like, they don't want to have competition. They want to get booked, but they're creating more competition by trying to be like other people. And so if I can give newer photographers any advice, it's really to sit with yourself as like a human being and an artist and be like, what do I want to do with my artwork and my photography? Like, what do I want to bring into the world? What kinds of connections do I want to have with my clients? How do I want to document their day? And there's no wrong answer. That's what's really cool is there is an ideal client out there for literally everyone. Like, I cannot stress that enough. There is a client for every type of business, every type of style, every type of photographer. So it's really, really crucial that you sit down and you figure out what you're passionate about first and then start implementing that. Because I would have found success in my career so much sooner if I had skipped that portion where I was like trying to see what I needed to do to be successful, and instead just did that inward work of like, what do I love as an artist? How do I want to connect with these people? How do I want to tell their stories? And then starting to show that, because that's when my career really turned off, or like really took off. And I think if I could have done that sooner, that would have been so life-changing. And obviously things happen when they're supposed to. But if I can give any like starting out photographers, or really anyone in their career, any advice, it would be to like really do the inward introspection rather than looking at other people for what you should be doing in the industry.
Absolutely love that, Eden. And I was going to say that too, as you were talking, not just for photographers, any creative person, any person, like, that's just good advice, great advice. So I just love your messaging. I just love you, Eden. You're just,
Thank you.
You're just so positive and so uplifting. And Eden, I know that you and I are part of the creative collaboration together, along with over 50 other photographers. I'm super excited about that. I love, photography community. I love getting together with educators. I love education. So what is it that you are sharing inside the creative collaboration this time around?
Yeah, inside the collaboration this time around is actually my TikTok growth course, which I'm really, really excited about. I don't recommend TikTok for everyone. I'll be like super upfront. I'm really into intuitive marketing, which is choosing marketing that really fits with your personality and your lifestyle and like and how you like showing up. We have like a free quiz on that if people have a hard time identifying it for themselves. But for people that do feel called to TikTok, it is an amazing and incredible platform. The opportunity for virality and the ability to scale is just like, it's kind of like old Instagram, to be honest. Like it's what Instagram used to be before we got all the algorithms kind of taking over. And so I was able to, within about a year, scale my account from just like starting it to, I think we ended up, when I started the course, I think I was at like 36,000 followers, and I'm up to like 40 something now. And it's an amazing course. Like, I can't even fathom earning over 30,000 followers right now on Instagram within a year. That's like crazy. That would be so hard. And so, yeah, that's the course that I have within the creative collaboration, is helping creative entrepreneurs scale their TikToks. And I actually did it with a personal account rather than my work account. So what's nice is the knowledge is applicable to anyone, whether they're a photographer or like a different kind of business owner. It can be applicable to anyone, which is really great.
I am so excited for that course because I've just been kind of dabbling in TikTok too. And everything you were saying is so like resonates with me and what's happening with my TikTok. I probably started it like a month ago, and I don't have as many followers as you do on TikTok, but I grew from like nothing to 2,500. I think now I have, and I'm like,
that's huge.
whoa, like that's and in such a short time. So I'm like, maybe there's something here. Maybe I need to learn and dive into this a little bit more. So I'm super excited to learn from you in the course and the creative collaboration. And you guys, check it out too. You can click on the link that's in the show notes or in the description, wherever you're listening to podcasts right now. I've got a course in there along with over 50 other photography educators. So definitely something that you want to check out. Now, Eden, if people want to just check out more of you or your TikTok or your Instagram, where can they follow you? Where can they learn more about you?
Yeah. So I have a podcast as well called That's My Personal Business. And the entire premise is how our personal lives and businesses are intertwined. So we like talk about all things personal, all things business, all things in between. We do a lot of interviews. And then everything else is just Eden Strader. You can find me on Instagram, my website. We have a bunch of freebies, like dozens and dozens of freebies, from everything from like learning artificial light to using Pinterest as a marketing tool. There's a ton of freebies on there for you to get started on.
Awesome. And you guys, I'm going to have her links in the show notes too, and the description. So you don't have to write those down right now. Just go to the show notes, click, and you'll get right to her, or at least right to her social media.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Eden, thank you so much for hanging out, for sharing, for being such an inspiration to photographers and creatives out there. I really, really appreciate you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
I think Eden is pretty amazing. And I really am super excited to get into her TikTok course that's part of the creative collaboration. I have been tinkering around with TikTok. You could go check me out. I'm at Cozy Clicks over there. I'm trying to kind of build my following and just play around with it and have fun with it right now. So I'm super excited to learn about that. And hopefully you are too. Remember, just check the link in my show notes or in the description to learn more about that. Go check out Eden over on Instagram or TikTok. Let her know that you listened to the episode today. Now, I am super excited because I have all kinds of educators that are going to be on the podcast talking about the creative collaboration and giving you more and more tips that you can use as a photographer. So make sure you hit subscribe over in iTunes so that you don't miss any of the episodes. And if you caught any of the episodes if you haven't caught them from February, make sure to scroll through because I just had guest after guest that was full of information and just shared so much over the past month that I think that anyone that you click on, you will find a lot of value out of. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here today. And until next time, here's to staying in focus in camera and with your goals. Bye, you guys.